Hi, I'm Joe Heath, and I'm a projectionist. One of the perks of working for a movie theater is that I get to see free movies each week, so I've decided to watch and review a new movie every week until I have a nervous breakdown due to the deadlines. Why did I think this was a good idea? I'm so stupid. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, that's a great idea. I wish I could be involved. Well, you can, because you get to vote for what movie I watch and review next. And that, in a nutshell, is the Projectionist Project.
I should have enough time to do a review.
In Time is set in a wacky future where time is literally money, and everyone stops aging at 25. Once they turn 25, a one-year timer in their arm starts counting down the minutes until they die. They work to gain more time and use that time as currency. The movie stars Will Solace, played by a mother lover, who lives in the ghetto with his mom Rachel, played by the Neutron Girl.
They've been living through some hard times. You know how when you say the same word over and over again, it just starts to lose all meaning? If you watch this movie, that's how you'll feel about the word time. You'll find yourself trying to avoid saying it because this movie uses it so many times. And every time you say it, you'll be painfully aware of the word. And you'll realize just how many times you actually say it in a normal conversation. And it will drive you mad! One day after work, Will goes to a bar with his friend Boral, played by Leonard Hofstadter. At the bar is a man with over a century in his arm, Hamilton, played by the guy from White Collar, who is just giving time away. Will warns him that he's being reckless and could get killed, and he almost does get killed by a gang called the Minutemen, which is led by Fortis, played by number 4. Honestly, I think the Minutemen could have been removed altogether. The movie is overcrowded with characters and subplots as it is. Anyway, Will saves Hamilton and they spend the night in an abandoned building. Hamilton tells Will that he's 105 years old, tired of living, and a Capricorn. He also says that rich people suck and hoard all the time. After Will falls asleep, Hamilton touches Will and gives him the rest of his life, save for enough time to go fall off a bridge when his time runs up. I guess the movie wants to make sure we understand that it's a suicide because he jumped off the bridge, which timekeeper police guy Leon, played by the Scarecrow, completely misreads as murder. Prime suspect, Will. Leon, the timekeeper, is the most interesting character in this movie. You get a lot of conflict with him trying to do his job and trying to do what he thinks is right. Meanwhile, Will decides to drive over to the rich time zone. In the poorly written ride over, Will tells his cab driver that he plans to take down the system. Will has to keep reminding the audience that he's fighting the system through some of the most obvious dialogue I have ever heard. This is what I've done, what I'm doing, and what I'm going to do. Just in case you were wondering. He's also highly inconsistent. He's all, every life is precious, one minute, and then shooting people the next. I actually found myself rooting for the timekeeper for most of the movie. Anyway, Will's plot for revenge! He shows up in the new time zone and kinda just goofs around, wasting time. People are dying, Will! The entire time Will pretends to be rich seems like a completely different movie. And a boring one. Nothing happens. And it happens slowly. The movie tries to make this point that the rich move slower because they have more time, but that doesn't mean that the movie has to as well. But if you're going to be slow, at least be interesting. Anyway, Will stumbles into a poker game with big shot businessman Weiss, played by Connor Stephen Holtz. Stephen Holtz! Next to Leon, Weiss is the next best character in the movie, and most of that is due to the acting. He really pulls off seeming like an old man in a young person's body. After Will wins the poker game, Weiss introduces Will to his daughter Sylvia, played by Lily Kane. The kiddos instantly hit it off. Well, I think they were supposed to. The two had absolutely no chemistry together. Unless them both being incredibly dull characters means they're made for each other. Anyway, before their love can truly blossom, timekeeper Leon shows up and cop blocks. Will, though, is prepared for this. He kidnaps Sylvia and escapes. Can Will take down the system with a hostage/love interest in tow, and a timekeeper, the Minutemen, and a powerful businessman on his trail? Who cares? I've lost interest. The plot took forever to get going, and it seemed to change direction every 20 minutes. It's Logan's Run, then Aladdin, then Robin Hood, Bonnie and Clyde. The movie tried to cram in too many ideas, but didn't really do anything interesting with any of them. I mean, the way the time system worked was intriguing, but at times it felt inconsistent and overly complicated. And I was never very clear on how transferring time between people worked. Sometimes it seemed like you could just touch your arms together and transfer, but other times there was holding and twisting involved. Another thing, you have a life counter counting down, and yet I rarely feel any urgency for the characters to get more time. I mean, the movie tried to make me feel that way, but I didn't care about the characters enough for it to matter. So in the end, the movie has some interesting ideas that are poorly handled, a plot that doesn't know where it's going, an abundance of one-dimensional characters, extremely bad pacing, and a plethora of painful puns. Skip it. First off, last week there was a three-way tie, so I went and saw all three movies in the foolish hope that I could review them all. Sadly though, I only had enough time to review this one, so the other two are up for voting again this week. Your choices are Happy Feet with Humans, $2.99, Sandler vs. Sandler, Puss in Boots, The Has-Been's Comeback, and Sulu and Taj Get a Tree. So vote for the one you think I should review next in the sidebar on minipineapple.com. See ya! Ugh!